Good morning, America and the world. I am John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States, and I am happy to be back. It's been a while since my last communication through this channel. You are living in extremely important times, where the future of humankind gets to be decided. Today, I am going to continue to unveil more truth and crush more lies spread to humans by the negative scientists and governments. I have been observing from higher dimension the events that happened on your planet over the past 55 years since I left my physical body. The same elite who plotted my assassination still fooling the world and playing chess daily with humanity. During my presidency, I wanted to disclose their crimes against the human population, hidden truths, and etc. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Otherwise, your lives would have changed drastically for the better. The nonsense of the 3D would have been left behind. You need to realize that replacing old members of the governments with new ones around the world, it's not the solution for humanity. The whole system of governance needs to go and be replaced by the group of individuals like a council who deeply care for the people and have the desire to put a new system of leadership such as where there is a full transparency of how everything is being done and all of the new ideas are discussed with everyone without hiding anything. All of the leaders need to go and their minions too. Look at them now. They are still running around and plotting their next moves. All of them are corrupted to the core of their bones. They don't value humans' lives at all. Millions of innocent people have died for nothing just to satisfy their greed. The truths are going to continue to be unveiled through this trusted channel. Dear patriots, please never forget that you are stronger and wiser than them. These dark creatures are trying to survive. It's not going to happen. Many of them are getting removed from this reality, despite of their resistance. The corrupted souls made up so many lies about many things, even about the landing on the moon, which is a false story. The moon planet during that time was occupied by the dark forces, who had a base on the moon and stayed there for a while and used human scientists for their experiments and research. They would have never allowed for the spaceship from Earth to land on their territory on the moon. When I was the President of the United States, I was pushing NASA to have the space agency to send the first man to the moon. Unfortunately, it didn't happen during my presidency, as my presidential term was cut short, suddenly and tragically, when I was assassinated on November 22nd in 1963, by being brutally hit in the head with a sniper bullet while I was sitting in my presidential motorcar driving through the Dealey Plaza in downtown in Dallas, Texas. There were multiple snipers involved in the plot of my human death. They were positioned from different angles. They made sure that I wasn't going to make it through that day. Humanity in 2024 still has not figured out who has assassinated me. The organization that is responsible for my death is a government agency in the United States that is in charge of collecting information on foreign countries and global issues, and it also is the authority of intelligence in the national security of America. I was shocked to see how the moon landing was done by NASA on July 16, 1969. Instead of having the first man land on the moon, the United States Space Agency faked the whole big event for humanity. They staged the whole thing by doing the moon landing in Nevada State in Area 51 in the desert. Everything was scripted and staged by using a film studio to cover the whole event. There are obvious problems with the presentation of the moon landing. According to NASA, 2 of the 3 astronauts spent almost 22 hours continuously on the surface of the moon. If you ever seen in your time a scuba diver going into the ocean, they usually take at least 1 oxygen tank with them, which usually gives them about 1 hour of oxygen. Can you imagine how many oxygen tanks the scuba diver would need to be 22 hours under the water? The answer is, he or she would need 22 oxygen tanks to be able to stay under the ocean for 22 hours. Yet, somehow, the backpack that these 2 astronauts were wearing lasted them for 22 hours. Of course, is not true. Another problem is how that rover vehicle that the 2 astronauts used to drive on the moon's surface, how did it fit in the small spacecraft they used to land on the moon? The answer is, it didn't. It was a lie. Another issue, if you have seen how the spaceship looks like that was used to land on the moon, does it look very strong or safe to be in space? The answer is no. If these two astronauts would actually use this spacecraft in space, they would die from radiation that is in space. The President of the United States in 1969 supposedly talked to the astronauts on the moon. That also is not true. NASA program at that time did not have the technology to do it. You should see for yourself how the phones looked like in 1969. Also, if NASA actually would send a spaceship to the moon with 3 astronauts, they would have to deal with a big problem. The dark forces had a base on the moon at that time. If a human spaceship would come close to the moon, they would be immediately destroyed by the dark fleet. The dark ones on Earth in the United States knew this information. That's why they faked the moon landing. Why did the negative ones stage this space event? Because at that time, they wanted to beat the Soviet Union in the space race to land the first man on the moon to show the whole world how superior is the United States on Earth. Why did the Soviet Union was not successful to land an astronaut on the moon? Because they were trying to do it for real. Why did the 3 American astronauts went along with this fake moon landing? Well, at the beginning, these astronauts were thinking that they were really going to the moon. They were training every day to prepare for this space mission. When these 3 astronauts found out that moon landing was going to be fake, at that time, they already signed a non-disclosure agreement, which would not allow them to talk about what they supposedly saw on the moon. The main reason these American astronauts agreed to a staged moon landing because they were promised a lot of money from the Dark Ones for doing this. And they also knew that they were going to become famous in the world for supposedly being the first men to land on the moon. These astronauts fooled the whole world and kept this lie from humanity for the rest of their lives. Almost 55 years have passed since supposedly the Apollo 11 moon mission happened. So why has no other country landed on the moon? Is the United States so much more advanced in their space agency than any other nation in the world? Of course not. Every other country in the world is trying to do it for real. That's why it didn't happen. The real question is, why have America did not land a man or woman astronaut on the moon for over almost 55 years? The reason is they don't have the space technology even in 2024 to land an astronaut on the moon, and they were definitely not able to do it in 1969. Do you think if United States would be able to land on the moon, they would not do it? Of course they would land on the moon to show the rest of the world how advanced they are, but they can't. All of the astronauts' moon landings missions by NASA were fake and staged. Now, I am going to talk about the moon landings with unmanned spacecrafts, which means spaceships without humans in them, by other countries in the world. Supposedly, India on August 23, 2023, had Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft land on the moon. Sorry to tell you this, but this didn't happen. The landing was fake. They created this space event virtually and used CGI effects to make it look like they landed on the moon. The same thing for all of the China moon landings with their Chang'e space program. Didn't happen at all. The moon missions were fake and virtually staged. The same story with Japan moon landing of unmanned spacecraft on January 24, 2024. It didn't happen. It was virtually created. Lastly, and most recently, the moon landing by United States with Odysseys on February 22, 2024, it's also not real and virtually created. All of these fake moon landings do not show accurately how the moon looks on the surface. Your moon is actually very damaged with many big crater holes all over the moon planet on the land. These are signs from the past years of galactic battles with the galactic light forces against the dark forces for the moon. Unfortunately, humanity, even in 2024, doesn't have the technology to land an astronaut or unmanned spacecraft on the moon, because of being technologically suppressed by the Dark Ones. Finally, the Outworlders got removed from the moon last year by Ashtar Command, so right now no one is living there. It is not allowed by the galactic light forces. Now, it's your time to shine and take care of the dark entities by removing that is left of them from their power positions on Earth. Their destructive agenda is turning them against each other. On what they have created, it's coming back to them. Their plans are getting exposed everywhere and every day. Thank you, Ambassador of Galactic Light Forces, sending my love and support to my brothers and sisters. Stay safe. John F. Kennedy. Channeled by Erena Velazquez, Ambassador of Galactic Light Forces.